Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement presented by Barstool Sports and 3G. It is Robbie Fox. With me is my co-host Clem, as always. And today we have what I want to call a free swim, if we're using Barstool Chicago terms. Shout out to the dog walk. Shout out Eddie. We don't have an episode to talk about or an episode to recap. So we're going to kind of go over some news. We're going to throw it over to an interview afterwards. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, you'll go right into an interview with Topher Grace of That 70s Show fame, of Spider-Man 3 fame. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you could go check it out on our channel. It's already uploaded. So go check it out there. Like the video already. We're getting you early
Thumbs
now.
up.
We're telling you right away. Give us a little thumbs up. Give us a subscribe. Keep the basement lights on. We're trying to keep the lights on, Clem. How you doing?
Good. I can see my hand, so I guess the lights aren't on. They haven't cut us off yet. I'm going to try. Oh, we're going to do a little free swim here. You know, me, Carl, White Sox. Large does the Eddie Barstool impersonation, and now, like, it's just lodged in my head. Like, top one favorite person to, like, imitate at Barstool.
Yeah.
And Large does a pretty good job. But, yeah, let's just, like, nerdy news. Like, we'll touch a whole bunch of shit. And, like you said, the basement lights, like, we just have to make it to May, and then they don't have any choice because they need to cover all the shit that's coming down the pipe from May on. That's when Moon Knight and Obi-Wan and Stranger Things.
Yeah.
We are going to be the lights will not go off in the basement. Hopefully, knock on wood. Knocking on some wood right now.
All right. We did do a video on the Obi-Wan teaser trailer, so I'm going to tease that. We won't go into it in depth here. I mean, we both thought it looked awesome. We were both like thrilled to see Ewan McGregor back. I think thrilled to hear the Darth Vader breath. They released a picture of Vader today, which everyone is going crazy for. And it's like amazing how iconic he is that they could release a silhouette of Darth Vader that could have been from Rogue One. Like, who knows? And people were just like, oh my God, he's fucking back. Vader's back. Yeah. So go check that video out on our YouTube for our in-depth thoughts on that. Some Marvel news. We only got a little bit of Marvel news. We saw a little bit of I Am Groot teaser trailer, picture stuff. It's not really a teaser trailer, just pictures. I Am Groot is going to be an animated show about Baby Groot. I think that's a great idea in the world of Baby Yoda. Miss Marvel set to premiere in June. She-Hulk to come right after that. So I think as soon as Moon Knight's done, we're going right into Obi-Wan and Stranger Things. And as soon as those are done, we're going into Miss Marvel. As soon as that's done, we're going into She-Hulk. We got no breaks after this.
All gas, no brakes, to quote another Barstool, the Barstool Chicago episode.
This is the Chicago episode.
I actually just had Detroit pizza for the first time. Detroit pizza became like a thing I heard a lot about in like 2021. And listen, by Detroit pizza, I didn't go to Motown or anything like that. I wasn't hanging out with Jared Goff or Dan Campbell or anything, but I was at Costco and they had the Motor City pizza. And I was like, do I get this? Do I not? I kind of want to try it. Some dude comes up to me and just goes, hey man, buy that. I'm on my day off and I came here just to buy it. Took one out of the freezer and left. And I was like, all right, sold. So one bite score, like a solid for like a frozen pizza. For a frozen pizza, it was like an 8.1. For like a regular pizza, it was probably like a 6.4 or something. But like, you know, my expectations are very low when it comes to frozen pizza. I don't know how I got into that fucking tangent right there, but it's fresh in my head. The Groot, the Groot show coming out. I think we've realized this over the last year, and from people who have like written into us, having content for kids, just so then you can kind of watch something with them and you don't hate your life as you're watching it. The amazing Spidey and his amazing friends do it. Obviously, your little Baby Yoda cameos and Mando do it, but that show could be a little tough for kids. That's a brilliant idea. And then you rope those little idiots in. They're buying the merch. They want to go to Disney. They want to do everything. So that's just such a smart show. I'm probably more stoked for that than a lot of the shows that are coming out, just because I know. Did you see that parents were complaining about Daredevil?
I pulled that up. I pulled up the quote because this is ridiculous. So apparently the Parents Television Council, basically this is like a version of the PTA. This is the PTC now, said that the addition of Daredevil, the Punisher, and other mature Marvel content will forever tarnish its family-friendly brand. And they said, what comes next? Adding a live striptease performance in Fantasyland at Disney World? What are we talking about? That's cartoonishly over the top.
Do you want to know what the C stands for in PTC, Bob? Let me you know what? We'll pass on that. We've already said that enough. We hit our quota on that during Hawkeye, Hawkeye breakdowns. You want to go back?
The lights went off. The
Oh,
lights
no!
are off in the basement.
Oh no!
I gotta turn the lights back on. If you're
Well,
watching the YouTube, I hope you're watching the YouTube because that was like almost when Frank the Tank had a lights malfunction.
one of the all-time greatest.
We're back. The lights are back on, baby. You can't shut us down.
You can try, but you're not going to do it. But yeah, I like watch some old Star Wars. You're losing hands, you're losing heads. Thanos got his head chopped off in the biggest movie ever. It's like, give me a fucking break, people. I haven't watched Daredevil. I'm sure it's more raw than all the other stuff. But
Punisher, there's a scene I've seen just on Twitter where it's almost like the mountain with our guy Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian himself. He fucking like squeezes that guy's head till his eyes pop out.
Jesus Christ.
So it's pretty violent. But like, just put it under a mature section. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And kind of speaking of which, with the Star Wars stuff, I hope Star Wars goes a little more in that direction as well. And I saw Hayden Christensen says we're getting a powerful Vader, and I didn't know how that was going to be. You know, I don't know how much time has passed since Episode 3 with the Obi-Wan show.
10 years.
Okay, so 10 years. So, because I mean, you know, he has to get his sea legs about him. You kind of see him stumbling when he first gets, you know, roboted up at the end of the Sith. So, okay, so we're gonna be getting a badass Darth Vader. Let's make that one mature. Just give us like one episode. It's like, by the way, Episode 5. Put the kids away for that.
The Vader episode.
Yeah, it's the Vader episode.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of that scene of Revenge of the Sith, we talked to Topher Grace a lot about his fan edit of the prequels. If you're not aware, he made this legendary, like storied 85-minute fan edit of episodes 1, 2, and 3 put together. And he tells us in the interview that it ends with that scene with Vader's helmet clicking on, goes to black, you hear his breathing. And I was like, oh shit, so you cut out the no. And he was like, I did cut that out. And I was like, oh shit, that fan edit sounds fucking good.
I cut it out and I burnt it to a crisp so no one could ever hear it again.
Burnt it like Anakin, eh?
Oh, too soon, Bob, too soon.
You're going to have to listen later for the interview, or if you're on YouTube, you could go check it out on the channel, to what the movie begins with. Because when he told me how his fan edit opens, I was like, dude, you got to fucking show me this thing. It's like, he can't because Disney owns it. And he's like, Disney will shut me down. He's like, he was promoting a Disney sitcom. So he's like, they're my parent company. I can't do it anymore. But it's a very fascinating interview. So go check that out.
I was hoping that he we may have to pitch him to do obviously the sequel trilogy as well as the Book of Boba Fett, where I think we said at some point during the Book of Boba Fett, like make all the flashback to scenes in the beginning and kind of like rework it to make sense as a show. You can even just take out all the Mando things and make that its own season, like Mando season 2.5, and just give us what the Book of Boba Fett looked like, so I can have like a real feeling of what that show was, because I still don't even know how to rate it, because every time I think it's something
for me, you're making me want to do that.
All right, Bob, you edit all this shit, you crazy bastard, just to keep the lights on. And Disney, I'm not scared of Disney, but that's famous last words.
Whoa,
but
whoa, I'm scared of Disney. Don't include me in it. You're not scared of Disney. I'm scared of Disney.
Well, this is
that mouse don't scare you. Come on, that mouse
scares
will smack you with that white glove.
This is I've been working for Barstool so long now. I kind of get that bravado because I know Dave is kind of the leader in charge here. And I'm like, Dave doesn't give a fuck. The guy has gone against Goodell. He's gone against all these different media companies, ESPN. Do you know the one entity that Dave has like bent the knee to? And he did it basically immediately. Do you remember this?
Was it Disney?
Anonymous.
Oh, was it not? Yeah, he said, I don't want any part of this.
He's like, I don't want any part of these guys. And when I saw
that now.
When they were going at Putin, I was like, yo, that's fucked up.
Did he say Putin?
Did I say Putin?
I think it's just Putin. Yeah. Putin.
Putin. I've been calling Putin in my head.
Like a fig Putin.
So I will say, like, maybe I shouldn't be fucking with Disney. Or I take it back because Fortnite's not going to want to get kicked out of Disney. He's going to want to go back.
Yeah, we want to go to Disney.
Yeah, he's not going to want to get banned from Disney. So
yeah, let's not make enemies with Disney. At least not before we go to Galaxy's Edge. We got to go there. We got some DC news. Actually, a lot of DC news to go over today, which is shocking. But they held some kind of call and they announced a bunch of delays. So Aquaman 2. Black Adam and The Flash are all delayed. The Flash is moving from November of this year to June of next year, a big delay. Aquaman 2 is moving from December of this year to March, kind of a smaller delay. And James Wan has come out, the director, and he said this is entirely due to CGI. He's like, listen, we just want more time to work out the CGI in this movie. It's very hard to do water. All right, understandable. It's like, If you're going to give us a movie, don't give us shitty CGI. Take a little more time on that. Shazam 2 pushed forward to December, which is like, oh, okay, we got one push forward. That's strange. And Black Adam from July of this year to October of this year. So that one's not as bad either. And now I believe League of Super Pets that we talked about last week, the Keanu Reeves Batman movie, I believe that one is going to be in July now. So kind of all swapped around. It's tough to hear right after they put out that big entire like 2022 is DC's year. We got the Batman, we got Peacemaker. We were like 8-8, and then they're like, we'll see you next season, fans.
I'm going to spin zone this for them and say they realize that they're looking good. They got a hot start. Obviously, Peacemaker and Batman, everyone is loving it, and the reviews and the critics, whatever you want to call it.
Box office through the roof, by the way. I've been trying to get IMAX tickets because I want to see it in IMAX. It's sold out every single showing. I'm finally going on Sunday, but I had to buy tickets like days in advance. Still, it's crazy.
Jesus. So this is clearly just DC saying, all right, let's not fuck this up. Let's not have a stinker here. We don't want to get blown out. Like if the Bengals could have been like when they were again, I consider the 2022 DC franchise to the 2021 Bengals. They lost to the Jets. They lost to Mike White. The myth of Mike White was basically born that day, right? And you don't want to have that kind of stuff happen. So I'm just going to tell myself this is them. In the end, it doesn't really make a difference. Just like we said, we have plenty of stuff coming out in the basement this year. We're going to be going over. It actually helps us a little bit. So I'm going to spin zone, which is crazy. If you told me I was doing this 3 months ago, Clem, in March, you're going to be saying, oh, everything's all right with DC. They're pushing stuff back for the right reasons. I'd say you're crazy, but I'm going to spin zone it for them. I'm going to carry the water for them on this one. Just don't keep doing this shit, DC. And when it comes out, make sure it's fucking good. That CGI and Aquaman, I want to see Aquaman enter his fish with his dick. Because we all know we're adding some fucking fish scenes. We all know we're adding some fucking fish scenes.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get that out of James Gunn. He's not quite James Gunn. They're two very different Jameses. I also saw a report that with test audiences, a shorter cut of the Batman tested worse than the cut that they actually put out, which I thought was interesting. And I wanted to bring up my favorite cut, which is Cut's clothing. You see how I did that there?
Oh, he's good. That's why he's
but I lost the ad copy. Where'd it go? Oh, I lost the ad copy. I couldn't do it as smooth. All right. With Cut's clothing, there's a lot on our minds. We know that the last thing we want to do is spending too much time on what to wear. What are we wearing? Grabbing things out of your closet. Cut's clothing has perfected the art and science of men's shirts, so you could throw on one and look great without ever thinking twice of it. Like you could grab any shirt from your closet that's Cut's clothing, and they all look great. They're all great color scheme. They all kind of match everything, in my experience at least. Their joggers are great. Their pants are great. I love Cut's clothing. They've revolutionized the traditional outdated t-shirt. Like a graphic tee like this, it's okay, but it's kind of coarse. You feel it on your skin. Cut's clothing, you throw it on, it's like butter. If you go to cutsclothing.com/basement right now, that is CUTS clothing.com/basement, you'll get 15% off the only shirt worth wearing. It was a smooth transition, and then I fumbled it going into the end zone.
See, if you were DC, you could be like, hey, we're going to push this ad back. Don't worry about it. We're going to put it later in the pod. You battled through it, though, Bob. We're okay. We're still on pace for an 8 episode right now, I'm going to say. And you know what? I know Topher is going to crush me as the second part of this, so I can still fuck up a little, and we can still finish 8-8. So I'm feeling good right now.
Pretty good. He was pretty good. So I've got some positive DC news now.
Okay, good.
We're going to flip it around. The Penguin miniseries has officially been ordered by HBO Max. This was rumored, basically confirmed. Like Matt Reeves said, it's coming. We're working on it. But this is like officially, it's coming. Colin Farrell has a quote here where he says, the world that Matt Reeves created for the Batman is one that warrants a deeper gaze through the eyes of Oswald Cobblepot. I couldn't be more excited about continuing this exploration of Oz as he rises through the darkened ranks to become the Penguin. It will be good to get him back on the streets of Gotham for a little madness and a little mayhem. If you watched his Hot Ones, which I would recommend, he was very good on Hot Ones, he also talked about how the prosthetics, he was a little worried about at first, but he said as soon as he put them on and like moved his eyebrows and saw that the eyebrows moved with him and like he could emote, he was like, oh, this is going to be fucking awesome. And he was like, this is as much fun as I've had playing a character in forever. You could see it on screen when he's laughing in the car chase scene and all that. So I'm stoked about this. Like just seeing more of that Gotham criminal underworld is going to be really cool.
Yeah. And now that I'm thinking about the way everything, how do I say? All right, I'm not going to do any Batman spoilers, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to say. But yeah, okay, just seeing the way his rise in the ranks and just the entire Gotham underworld. This is how we build a fucking universe, DC. You're doing it the right way right now. Again, the TV has changed the entire landscape of how this all can be done. And you said it, Bob. You could kind of, like you said, you could do like the little mini series or whatever, or you can just kind of build a specific character without having to throw it in a movie theater and hope it doesn't, flop or whatever. The fact he's as stoked, I feel like to have an actor that good, that excited to play a character like this, that's awesome. I do think that is kind of the Marvel effect where all these big names have kind of done it and everyone's like, all right, I want to get a piece of that superhero pie too. So I'm very excited that he seems as excited about this as all the fans are about it.
Yeah, and he got executive producer credit on it too, so he'll be making big bank on this as well. So that's, in an Oswald Cobblepot way, also another incentive.
Wet the beak.
And also, Lauren LaFranc is the showrunner. I wanted to shout her out because she's a writer on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Chuck, which Chuck is Tommy Smokes' favorite show of all time.
Wow.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I know, is so many of our listeners' favorite show. Like, I know Frank, I think, tweets us all the time saying Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like his favorite show of all time, wants us to watch it. We should get into it at some point. I think we would probably like it as MCU nuts. But Lauren LaFranc, the showrunner, alongside Matt Reeves, alongside Colin Farrell as executive producers, I think this is going to be great. And then we've got another Gotham show change up, kind of. So the Gotham PD show we talked about with Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon again, that's kind of canceled. That's kind of been shelved, and they're going in a different direction with it, where it's going to be a horror show about Arkham and Arkham Asylum. The Matt Reeves quote from him, he says, the GCPD thing, that story has kind of evolved. We're actually now moving into the realm of exactly what would happen in Arkham as it relates to coming off of our movie. And some of the characters almost leading into the idea of it's like a horror movie or a haunted house that is Arkham. The idea that, again, the way that Gotham is a character in this movie, I really want Arkham to exist as a character in this show. I know that Matt Reeves is a massive fan of the show Mindhunter, which I haven't gotten into, but I believe that they kind of dissect like different killers in every episode in that show. It'd be really cool to see that with Batman's Rogues Gallery. Like almost like you could do singular episodes on criminal backstories or escapades that criminals had with each other and do guest stars. You could do a Barry Keoghan episode, whatever, or Keoghan. I think that's how you say his last name, which is a total fucking curveball. But you could do an episode on him. You could do another episode on Paul Dano if you wanted. You could do an episode on, the Clayface. You could bring in weird characters. You could do Kite Man if you wanted to. You could bring in the weirdest characters and do cool episodes on them. So I actually think leaning into the horror movie idea, it's like, damn, the Gotham PD show sounded cool, but this sounds also cool.
Yeah, I for some reason I thought they were gonna just kind of like delve into that, or that was be a separate show. I didn't realize they killed the Gotham PD. I saw the news going around, but yeah, the way you could tell that Arkham, when they linked it with everything else in the movie, you're like, oh shit, Arkham is going to be a part of this, which I appreciate. It's something I think that it's so big, and like I appreciate also Matt Reeves said it, because we've been saying in all our different Batman recaps, even like how Gotham is like, it's such a character in all these Batman things. And Arkham is a huge fucking part of that. I'm hoping, I'm almost thinking like a Orange is the New Black. Did you ever watch Orange is the New Black?
I loved Orange is the New Black for the first few seasons. Great.
I watched with my wife the first few seasons.
That's where Abadayo came from in Peacemaker.
Exactly. And I got out of it at the end, but she kept watching. But I always like, you had the story, but then you also had the backstory. If they kind of do like something like that where they go back and forth and with all the different characters you could throw in there, that could be a lot of fun. So is Jeffrey Wright going to play a part in it, or is he out now? Because that's what had me the most excited.
I know, I agree, and I was trying to find that and I couldn't find an answer, but like I really want him to be involved. I hope he's maybe the person if they're doing like a Mindhunter type thing, which there's no confirmation of. That's just kind of people connecting the dots. If they do something like that, I would hope he's the one trying to find out more as he rises to the ranks of commissioner. And maybe you do the Gotham PD stuff as like a subplot in this show. Maybe you could incorporate the ideas that they had, but maybe they were like, it's maybe not a full show. And I know the Gotham PD show is going to be a prequel, whereas this is going to build off of the Batman. So maybe they also said, hey, let's just keep moving forward. Let's not go backwards. Let's start off at the Batman and which I don't have an issue with either.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And that's the only thing is that the one thing I noticed after I left the theater and thought about it, I was like, I haven't seen a ton of Jeffrey Wright's movies. Every time I see one, I'm like, I love this fucking guy. And
Yeah.
he's like a super version of that guy. Like that guy is usually like a supporting guy who's in for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. He's like, he obviously is a much bigger role than that. And I just always like him. And to have that kind of feeling around someone that's on screen that much, that lets you know that dude's just fucking good at what he does. So I hope he's in one of these. I hope the next time I don't see him is in like the Batman 2.
I agree. Have you seen the Hunger Games movies?
Yes, I think I've seen a moment. That was another one. My wife was obsessed with the books when they came
He
out.
was
So I
really
think
good in
I've seen
those.
all of them. Yeah, he
He's
was
in the
awesome in that.
second. I think he's in the second, third, and fourth. Yeah, he's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. We've got another ad to do. It's HelloFresh, our friends at HelloFresh. And I think if the Riddler had HelloFresh, he probably never would have turned into the Riddler. He probably never would have been that angry. Used our promo code 16 free meals. Come on. So use HelloFresh. They've got pre-portioned ingredients. They deliver right to your door so you get convenience without skimping on quality. Skip those trips to the grocery stores and don't waste any money on excess food because they give you exactly what you're going to use. So it's like you don't have stuff lying around that you're not going to use later. It's 72% cheaper than a restaurant meal of the same quality. You could save on average over $65 per month when you order HelloFresh instead of grocery shopping. That's a trip to the movies right there. $65 for you and someone else, you and a friend.
Yep.
I mean, it's maybe going to be a little more if you add on like a small popcorn. They'll ring you for
IMAX.
$25. Yeah, exactly. But I love it. Clem loves it. It's easy to make. It's fun to make. The instructionals are super easy. The bags are nice prepackaged. And if you go to HelloFresh.com/16Robbie, 16ROBBIE, and use the promo code 16Robbie, you can get up to 16 free meals. And as we say every week, 3 free gifts. Do we know what the gifts are? No, we don't know what the gifts are. But maybe it's Wolverine claws. Maybe it's Captain America shield. Maybe it's a carrot. I don't know.
It's the Riddler's cup with a question mark inside of it. Except you wouldn't know that because the coffee spilled on the delivery. And no, they actually packed that shit up really nice too. That's one of the best parts is when you're unpacking it. And you're like, look at this, man. This shit is legit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Now we're going to throw it over to the Topher Grace interview. If you're listening to this on the podcast feed, it's just going to throw right over to the Topher Grace one. And if you're watching us on YouTube, go to the channel, click on the channel, click on the Topher Grace interview. That is the second part of this podcast where we're going to talk about that prequel cut he made. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. So thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week. Maybe, I don't know what we're going to do next week. It might be another free swim. It might be, we might think of a topic between now and then, but we'll figure it out. We got a little gap between Moon Knight.
Yeah, if you guys anything you want to see, put it in the
I'll
comments.
be in
on
London.
YouTube,
We'll
tweet
do
at
a
us. Oh,
we'll,
yeah,
we'll do a
London.
fun, maybe we'll do a fun like London nerd episode. I don't know. We'll figure
You
it
got
out.
Jose there too, right?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I'll be with Jose. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There we
All
go.
right. We'll throw it over to Topher Grace now.